Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. As you would have guessed from the title of this video, today I'm running through the books that I read in May 2021. I feel like I say this every month, but in May I felt like I was in a bit of a reading slump, and so I wasn't really reading that regularly, and it would be about a week before I read again and then whatever. But I'm getting back into it now that it's like the beginning of June. So all the books that I'm about to go through were actually kindly gifted to me by different presses, so I'm going to acknowledge that when I go through them. The first one that I read was The Listeners by Jordan Tannahill. This was kindly gifted to me by Fourth Estate. I can't remember if in my last video about like my reading update I had finished this or not, but I finished this in May anyway. I did really enjoy this one. It's about, it says on there, can you hear the hum? So it's about this woman that one day wakes up and she hears this like buzzing, this hum in her ear, but no one else around her can. And so she joins this club because there's other people that can also hear this strange hum, and they all kind of like get together on a regular basis and have these meetings, put together ideas about what it could be, or if it's just like a scientific thing, or if it's like a psychological thing, or whatever it is. And yeah, I really did enjoy this. I felt that it was like really gripping. It's been a while since I've read a kind of thrillery book. Thrillery book, is that a word? Yeah. It was really good to feel like I was on edge the whole time and wondering basically what is the hum, what is the cause of the hum. I did feel for the character a lot as well, because like people around her, like her husband for example, was getting annoyed with her because basically saying that he didn't believe her, and you know, just it doesn't exist. So I felt kind of bad for the character. I'm just gonna look in my notebook what else I said. And one of the things, I think I said this in my last video as well, but it was written from a male author, but the narrator was female, and I think that was so well done, because if you had told me that the author was female, I would have 100% believed you. Just some of the things they were saying as a female narrator, just side note, I thought that was quite good. Really clever campaign. If you hadn't seen this before, the campaign for this was fantastic. So this actually doesn't come out until the 8th of July 2021, but the campaign for it is they had "Can you hear the hum" written on posters around London, this number to call, and when you call the number it's this man saying, "Hello, can you hear the hum? Yeah, we have answers," all this. And no one knew that it was about a book campaign until you phone the number, and then they asked you to leave like an email address or something. And then that's how I got this copy, because they email you and they say, "Thanks for calling the number, we'd like to give you a proof of this book." So this is a proof copy, so the real thing doesn't actually come out till July 2021. But I would really recommend it. I think it's been hyped, but for the best reasons. One of the things as well on a downside is it made me really more aware of my tinnitus, or tinnitus, however you say it. I say tinnitus, which is something that I have, which is like a constant buzzing, like ringing in your ear. I think a lot of people do have it. And the whole time that I was reading this book, I was then like, oh, it's made me so aware of this now. On another note as well, I'm quite surprised that it's called The Listeners, because throughout the book they refer to themselves as the hummers, like the people that can hear the hum, like in the group and the families and stuff, they call them the hummers. So I'm quite surprised, to be honest, that it's not called the Hummers, rather like it's called the Listeners instead. I'd like to hear more about like why they chose that name, or maybe they will change it by the time it comes to July. I mean, I doubt it, but so that's one I read and I did enjoy that. Then I moved on to What Planets Can I Blame This On by Ellie Pilcher. This was kindly gifted to me by Hodder Studios. I actually ran a little giveaway with this as well a little while ago now, where I gave one of you guys a copy of this, and you just had to comment a planet emoji, because yes, it's all about kind of astrology, but not. So the idea of this book, What Planet Can I Blame This On? It's about this character who is just, I think she's approaching her 29th birthday. All of her life is just a mess, basically. She's losing her boyfriend, she's losing her job, she's losing her flat, and then someone basically recommends to her to look to astrology to help her deal with that and make her decisions for her and that. And for someone that has absolutely no interest in astrology, like whatsoever, I actually really enjoyed this book, because there wasn't that much astrology in it, if that makes sense. So at the beginning of every chapter like that, there's a bit about what's happening with your star sign, your moon and all that. But throughout the book it's not about that. It's about how she develops this obsession almost with astrology, and looking to this and looking at her horoscope every day. It does become an obsession. That's the way I see the majority of this book. It's becoming an obsession. In the beginning of the book, it actually made me want to turn to like mindfulness more, because you know, she wants to believe that her fate is determined by something out of her control. Because in the book she takes a lot of time to do research and look at astrology, etc., it made me want to set aside that time to do a bit more mindfulness, and I actually have been doing that as a result. So I'm pleased about that. It's a very funny book. It is a hilarious book, and I would recommend it if you just want more of like a light-hearted read but some hidden messages within it. It's light-hearted in the fact that it's funny throughout, but as I said, there's a lot of like hidden messages in it. And I would also just say as well, there's a lot that happens in it, I feel, but in a good way. Sometimes I feel like when books have so much happening in them, and this is a fiction book as well, I feel like sometimes it can get confusing what's going on and something's happening all the time. It's not like that at all. It's in a good way, that it's like well paced. The author Ellie Pilcher has also done an interview for my channel, as she is a marketing manager at Avon HarperCollins, and so if you haven't already, I do encourage you to check that out, and I'll leave it in the description down below. Then I moved on to, again, another gifted book, and this was My Body Keeps Your Secrets by Lucia Osborne-Crowley. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. This was kind of gifted to me by Indigo Press. I read I Choose Eleanor maybe like a year ago now. I remember seeing the cover and seeing the name of the book, and because it's like my name, I was like, hey, I'll give that a go, and it's quite a short book, and it really not hit home, like hit hard basically. It's non-fiction, it's about Lucia, the author, and she opens up about her rape as a teenager and the suffering effects of it as a result, because she didn't open up to anyone about it. And it's a really, really important book, and I love that. And then when I found out that Lucia would be writing another book, which was this, My Body Keeps Your Secrets, I messaged the marketer immediately and was like, please, I need a copy of this. And to my surprise, it did turn up in the post. Such an important book. Shocking is what I said, because there are stories within it that you just think, how has that happened? How is that possible? Like things that you just wouldn't believe that are happening and that are real, and this author is shedding light on that. So again, this book is non-fiction, and it is about rape, it's about sexual assault, it's about the shame that comes with it, but it's about so much more than that. You don't have to have gone through anything like that to read this. Similarly, if you have been through something like that, it would really help to read this. Not only does Lucia, the author, go through her personal experiences, but she's interviewed about 100 people to make this book happen. In it, I think she changes the name of some of the people, obviously for confidentiality reasons, but within it she weaves in these stories of other people who have been through similar things, have shared stories of shame or anything like that, and the way it was done I think was so clever. A little while ago now, I read 3 Women by Lisa Taddeo, and what I felt with that was a lot of attention was put on those characters, and that was what made up the whole book. It was about these 3 women, but in this book they show just the right amount of attention to each one, I think, without kind of like dwelling on it and sort of making up words for the sake of it. It had enough attention to draw enough attention to whatever the message was, or whatever, in the right way. I don't know if that makes sense, but I feel like if you read it you'll know what I mean, because the author will talk about their own experience, and they'll talk about this person's story, go back to their own experience, talk about someone different, etc. And I thought it was just so well written. And moving on to that, there were so many parts where I could have just highlighted that, ripped that page out, framed it, put it on a wall, see it written in a museum somewhere, because I didn't know how to say this when I put it on my Instagram, but I was like, there's so many quote-worthy quotes in it that will be quoted in future, because there are so many things. I think that is such a powerful sentence. What I felt with this is there are some books where there are definitely some quotes that you think, wow, that's such a powerful sentence, and that'll be quoted forever and that'll be known for that book. Like the opening sentence of Pride and Prejudice, for example, you know, it's a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. Everyone knows that sentence, everyone knows that's Pride and Prejudice. With this book, there are so many of those quotes that are rhetorical questions, that are statements, that are the author's own thoughts, that I just think that is so powerful. And maybe I will get round to writing them all out again. I did take a couple of pictures of the page as well that stood out to me the most, but honestly I just kept going through, like, I could highlight this, but I ended up highlighting the whole page. I honestly think so many people need to read this book. And having said that, again, this is so rare for me to say, but I would reread this book. I don't like rereading books. I don't think I've ever reread a book. Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine. It's one of my favourite books, and I've always said I'd reread that, and I kind of got halfway through rereading that, and this absolutely would be something that I would reread or just keep referring back to. I feel like now that I've read it once as well, I could jump back into any chapter and go from there. If it's not already obvious, it covers a lot of kind of like trigger warnings and sensitive topics, so I've wrote some of them down. So it covers like rape, sexual assault, abuse, shame, relationships, endometriosis, pregnancy and sex. So there are a lot of heavy topics in there, but saying that, it didn't make me cry at any point. It didn't make me sad. It kind of made me feel sad for the people in it, I suppose, but it wasn't a book to make you feel sad. It's a book to show you what's real. It's a book to raise awareness. It's a book to make you feel like you're not alone, and it's a book to, I guess, improve change, like spark change. That's the final one that I finished in May 2021. Then I was reading The Devil Wears Prada. I've actually finished that now, but it's technically June now, so that's gonna be my June wrap up. But absolutely love The Devil Wears Prada. Those are kind of like the 3 books that I read in May. Again, as I said, not really a lot, but I'm hoping June I will read a lot more. I should say as well when all of these are out. So the first one was The Listeners by Jordan Tannahill, 4th Estate. This comes out on the 8th of July 2021. What Planet Can I Blame This On? This came out on the 3rd of June 2021 by Hodder Studio by Ellie Pilcher. And then My Body Keeps Your Secrets by Lucia Osborne-Crowley by Indigo Press. This comes out in September 2021. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you agree with any of my thoughts, if you read any of these proof copies, if you're going to be pre-ordering them. I'd love to know, and hopefully see you in my next one. Thanks, bye.